that's the sushi of today, and it's a vegan keto salmon caviar sushi, but it didn't work out. I'm gonna have to try it again. I've been trying to think of how to make this work, and I went and bought some white chia seeds, which are very expensive for us, and I ended up resorting to using brown rice protein powder in this part, and I didn't want that at all. So anyway, I juiced lots of bell peppers so that I could soak the chia seeds, and you can see the white chia seeds. I was hoping that they'd look more orange. They still look white, so that didn't work. Some of the peppers were absolutely frightening looking inside. Anyway,
Lord only knows what sort of genetic modification.
That's what we're talking about today, and these other things. So some Columbo and some other things. So JFK on the trail of the assassins. That's what James is probably going to be talking about. And I'm going to show you my outfit for today. It's basically what I did is I haven't even bathed since I got home from hiking yesterday. So my hair is full of sweat and sunblock and aloe vera. So
lots of aloe vera.
I'm telling you,
aloe vera works pretty well on the sunburn after the
Because what I did is I had no problem with, I had no sunburn anywhere, you know. But what I did is I didn't get James to put sunblock on my back. So here we go. So this outfit is basically, all I did was I put the skirt over top, and honestly I don't know how one is supposed to wear these kind of skirts. They're basically a one size fit all thing, and really one size fits nobody when it's one size fits all. So I don't really care for that skirt. I think it looks better just like this, the outfit. But anyway, so this was my hiking outfit minus this. So what I did is I was wearing this top with so James is like, he's looking at it. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, I'll just take this off for a minute so you can see it. He was looking at my sunburn because I wasn't wearing the top anymore when we got home. And he was like, your pattern, you have a pattern on your back that's cross, right? And
I noticed the cross pattern first.
Yeah.
Then I saw the real bad burn, which was...
so he didn't really notice the burn so much as the pattern, right? Yeah. And so then...
Well, my eyes weren't working that well because my eyes got sunburned.
Oh, true.
Where, well,
like just being out in the bright.
Biggest...
Yeah.
Well, driving and then the driving back, and then the exposure was more than, it was 50% more than this year. So I got my eyes sunburned, so I wasn't seeing it well. Yeah. Still not seeing it.
Okay, so I have not had a good day. So then, anyway, that's how we know it's...
Her sunburn just soaked up the aloe vera.
Yeah,
how many applications did I put
I don't know, 10?
He just least kept 6. Yeah,
putting it on, and it kept sucking it up.
Yeah, it was like... one time it was like 15 minutes between, I think, and it was all dry, but it was worth it because she was really scorched.
But now I'm not.
This side particularly, this side was bad. This side was red too, but after a few applications, the red had kind of retreated. So it comes, if you get, so long as you don't have an allergic reaction or something like that to it, it comes highly recommended for sunburn after the fact, after you
my French grandma, she was allergic to the sun, so she'd always wear she'd cover right up to go out, right? Yeah, but she was out working no matter what anyway.
She's a hard worker.
Yeah, very hard worker. So anyway, yeah. So I got up this morning, I'm doing my workout, and it's not going well because I'd already worked out quite a bit the day before, and anyway, and so I didn't end up bathing, and then I started working on the sushi, and I wanted to make it so that what I wanted to do is this, have a white layer, like I wanted to have the roll roll it, you know how you do with saran wrap to put the stuff, like how you put rice and stuff on the outside of the roll with the using saran wrap to roll. Anyway, I wanted to do that, but with the black sesame seeds and hemp seeds. And that part of it, I guess, was going okay, but I couldn't get my chia seeds were still too mushy, I guess, and I was like, oh well, should I add some? So for some of them, like these ones, I didn't. That's just straight, and you can see it glooping out all over the place. Well, for this one, I tried to mix it with some goji, ground goji berry, and well, worked okay, but it still wasn't working great, and so it was like mooshing while I was trying to roll it, and I'm like, this is really horrible. So then I decided to put some of this in, and some sauerkraut, or the firefly kimchi. Anyway, I tried some things and it didn't seem to work, and I wanted to have it so that it was this sesame seed, black sesame seed, hemp seed layer on the outside, and then have a white layer, and then have the red chia seeds in the middle, right? So anyway, my juicer doesn't take all of the juice out of peppers.
Anything that's being juiced.
Or anything that's being juiced. I'm kind of tired.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna save this, and I see that there's some things that I have to pull out of here because they look gross. But anyway, what I'm gonna do with this is, I'll show you right here. I should have showed you this before I put the camera. So there are some of our squash from last year that are still okay, which is amazing, right? And I'm gonna pull this in. There we go. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel. I'm making keto lasagna with it. So I'll take, well, any one of these really, but this guy's closest, so I'll take him. So I'll peel off the skin, and then I'll take the peeler and peel strips of zucchini, and that'll be the noodles. So, and then the peppers, the pulp here, that's gonna go in with the rest of the stuff. So it'll be layered up like lasagna, and that'll be tomorrow's recipe, because the weather is supposed to be turning cold. We're supposed to be getting some snow. So while I made the keto sushi today because the house is hot, I don't want to be cooking in there. And so yeah, that's that. So I'm going to hand this stuff over to James, I think. Oh, there's some of my poems on the back of that. Okay, first I will take off the stuff that well, I guess that's just this one. The rest James can talk about. So, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 got bottom of the stack.
Is that like Freddy? No, it's different.
No, it's
I thought it was Freddy's Krueger or whatever.
Stupid horror movie that I can't believe that I've already. There were 2 versions of the first one. I guess somebody else decided I want to do that story too, but I don't know which one is more palatable, but it's just stupid. I don't know. It's not even worth talking about.
Yeah, first horror movie I ever saw, I think it was a double feature or something like that. I was not impressed, and generally with the genre, I'm not impressed. But we've talked about it before.
James
I like the comedy. Well, I like it when it's comedy or got comedic elements and stuff like that.
Okay, so near the bottom of the stack was this Columbo. As far as I'm concerned, the complete 5th season, and it's because of Last Salute to the Commodore. And that one, like now you see him, I actually like that one okay. But Last Salute to the Commodore, I did not at all, and I so strongly disliked it. It was the fault of
The director.
McGowan. He did a terrible job.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Just absolutely dreadful. So
He broke down the formula. Wasn't that one where they were all assembled? It was like a Hercule Poirot thing. They were all assembled. You didn't know this.
you're right. I think he did that in that one too. Anyway, it was really bad. Really bad. So that one, that's why that ended up there. And the rest James can talk about. So he'll probably want to talk about, he liked Lurker a lot. I don't know.
More than Pauline.
Yeah, I didn't like it as much, but so I put this Columbo on top of Lurker because I actually like these cases.
Three
Okay.
different things in there.
Yeah, and I enjoyed them. So I don't know if you remember those. Those were the last ones that we watched. You didn't watch the
Yeah, I don't recognize all
the
that.
Bye Bye Sky High IQ murder case.
I don't think I saw
Yeah,
any
I
of
watched
these
them. Yeah, you did.
Okay, I'm seeing some belly dancers. I don't recall any belly dancers.
No, you're reading this. That's what you're reading.
Okay.
Because the pictures may not be from
Okay.
that. Yep. Pictures may not.
Well, I
be. It's
Fade
different
into
pictures.
Murder that featured from the description Captain Kirk, William Shatner. I thought he did a pretty good job.
I did too.
With them working together, they both are quite deliberate actors, and it was a little slow-paced. But
okay.
Shatner plays pretentious puke better than almost anyone out there. Patrick McGowan does that too, but yeah, it was a little slow-paced. Shatner's thought about everything that he does, and the big trouble is he was trained as a stage actor, so that's why he looks like a ham. He overdoes it. He actually acted at Stratford, and that's not in England, that's here in Canada. And I've actually been to that festival, Stratford Festival, or whatever it's called, twice in my lifetime. 72, sometimes either 84 or 86, can't remember which, something like that. Anyway.
So, I really don't have anything to say about that Columbo, but this was disc 1 from the complete 6th and 7th season, and I enjoyed it all right. I always liked
That's
Columbo.
a truck backing down the
So,
alley. Sorry about that soundtrack
there you go.
with a beep, beep,
I don't know
beeps.
how you'd put that, but that's
Okay.
how I did.
Yeah, I think I'd put David Byrne's American Utopia on top. It's probably a dystopia, because a dystopia is the opposite of a utopia. And I guess by putting it upside down, it's kind of like hanging the flag upside down. So this one, I didn't like any character portrayed in this thing.
In Lurker, yeah.
Oh, I know. And it's, like this groupie kind of thing. There's this rather untalented, what would they call him, rhythm and blues, or I'm not sure what he'd be called nowadays, performer, pretty untalented, stuff like that, but he has a coterie of admirers and stuff like that. This stuff has been around for forever. It's not just groupies. The Beatles had maybe the slimiest groupie of all, Yoko Ono, hanging around. She tried to go after Paul McCartney first, because Paul McCartney hung around the artistic circles that she was trying to hang around with when she hit England. She'd hung around artistic, schmartistic, whatever you want to call them, circles in New York. She hung with Andy Warhol for a while, hung around with John Cage. She was more into, putatively, into music, stuff like that. And then she hit England, and she tried to cozy up to Paul McCartney. And Paul McCartney was a fairly sensible person even then. And he wanted nothing to do with her. Ended up having to put up with a lot more of her than anyone would have liked pretty well, except John Lennon. when she managed to work her way into John Lennon's good graces. But there was same point in time, John Lennon had been captivated by a guy they called Magic Alex. I've forgotten what his name is. Was he Greek or something like that? Don't want to blame the Greeks for this. They're the people who brought democracy to the world way back when. And he was going to wire I think it was the Abbey Road studio for the cuttingest edge sound technology, which he basically invented. And when the Beatles were getting ready to film Let It Be, which was supposed to be a film of them putting an album together and performing it live, they found out it was not just totally unworkable, it just was ridiculous. Kind of like a kid trying to put his dad's watch together or whatever. So in here, there are these flunkies trying to hang with this guy. He's got no talent and stuff like that. It kind of works out, spoiler alert, works out for the flunky who moves in after a certain coterie has been set up, and by a little bit of manipulation and stuff like that, he manages to work his way, not into the heart, but into the, well, I'd have to say kind of like the whole personality of this
I don't have any more out there.
Performer.
That's what you're hoping for.
So, yeah,
That's what you're hoping for.
it's hard to get into because there's just no one that you can identify with. They're all sleazeballs and each in their own way, untalented and each their own way, and stuff like that. It's, but you know, I don't know. I once encountered something like this. It was just one person coterie. So I'd been shopping, hopefully it still exists, at the Silver Snail. It's something like downtown Toronto, with and then my best friend, I still count him as a good friend, a guy who's published a science fiction writer, and he do comic books, write them, and illustrate them, ink and or draw and ink. And so we'd gone on a major shopping expedition to the Silver Snail, and we prepared to look at of course we weren't going to open up the plastic that the comics came in, but we were just looking at the score. I think I'd bought them all at his recommendation. And there was this guy ensconced in the corner, so we're in a restaurant, kind of like around the corner from the Silver Snail. And there was a kind of a younger character fawning over this guy. So the guy was sitting back, like this. He's a really nice guy, right? He invited us over. Hey, what sort of comic? We started talking comic books. And he found out that I wrote poetry. And turned out he had a kind of like a trial contract with DC Comics. And the more he became fascinated, he ultimately asked me to work with him, as a writer, and he'd be an illustrator. And I knew that wasn't for me because I'm not good with working with deadlines. And you'd have to get stuff out every month. I think those things are put out monthly generally. I wouldn't have been able to handle that. I'm a perfectionist. That's why I write poetry. I don't like doing it, but I do it. I just sweat over every word. And you can't do that when you're putting out stuff monthly. You just can't. Anyway, he was very nice, it wasn't sight unseen. He saw I liked comic books and all that sort of stuff. And we were talking about, I knew comic books, not as much as my friend was with me, but he could see that we knew comics. But this little, I won't call him a groupie, but hanger-on got more and more
jealous?
Obstreperous. Yeah, well, obviously jealous. I don't care if a person's jealous. Like I say, it's okay to have problems, but don't visit them on other people. So he got to the point where my friend was from Lethbridge. I was from Lethbridge, of course, not originally, but he was calling us blue-eyed sheiks, all this sort of stuff. Oh man, sometimes I'm too patient. But I was being respectful to the guy who was being so nice to us, the guy who actually had some talent, and so on and so forth. I don't think he terribly appreciated this hanger-on or whatever, one-person coterie. Okay, so just segueing somewhere or another, very rough segue to David Byrne's American Utopia. I just finished watching it. I gotta admit, I slept through a lot of it, but I just finished eating it. And it's actually quite well done. So David Byrne works against expectations. So you expect people to come out in fancy costumes, look dressed up a la Jimi Hendrix or Michael Jackson with Sergeant Pepper's uniforms or half uniforms, uniform tops and stuff like that. He comes out, he's in gray. His whole band, they're not wired for sound. It's all remote technology and stuff like that. All the guitars.
Oh, okay.
So they're out there and they're moving around. Even he's kind of like moving around. In some ways, it's better to watch him because he's kind of restrained than watching Laurie Anderson, who gets a little bit over the top when she's doing it. She too performs in bare feet. I think they're all in bare feet. But it's better than Elvis or Mick Jagger kind of, like doing, they kind of look like uncoordinated puppets. They're trying to do black moves or stuff like that, or African American moves. And it just doesn't quite work. In the case of Mick Jagger's hilarious. When Pauline saw Mick Jagger performing in, what was that, Gimme Shelter or something like that, she just couldn't restrain kind of like a belly laugh. I think it was hilarious, really. Anyway, so they're all dressed in gray and stuff like that. Gray, and the background's gray, all this sort of stuff. They got some tinsely type of stuff, but maybe, but it's gray. And you're forced to kind of deal with what's happening on stage instead of getting all distracted by all the glitz and glamour that you'd expect, that you'd find in the performance. Now, I never bought a David Byrne or Talking Heads album. Maybe I did. I don't think so. I kind of would listen to some of the stuff. I find it interesting. Now, one of the things that should be pointed out is he actually learned how to sing. Did you notice that? He doesn't have a great voice by any means.
Good job live.
Yeah, because when he first came out, like I've listened to Bob Dylan, I've listened to some bad voices, but his was one of the worst that I've ever heard. Leonard Cohen, worse than Leonard Cohen when he came out. It was awful. Couldn't hold a tune in the bucket. But he's actually learned how to sing. He does talk about people losing brain connections. This is between song patter, and apparently there are way more brain connections when a person's just born than when they get older. And I think he's trying to talk about brain flexibility, and one of the things about brain flexibility is actually learning as an adult. It's something that I strongly believe in, and guess what? I try to practice
be a
it.
lifelong learner.
Yeah, please.
Please.
please. Like learning can be different things. We should really be lifelong discoverers. But if you can't discover it, please learn. And that's, I guess, why I'm doing these kinds of things. And I suspect Pauline's motivated by the same, in the same way, by the same motives. Like we'll tell you some. It's hard to learn from other people. I can remember one time a woman at work was telling me, my daughter got bit by or stung or whatever. I think she said bitten, I think that'd be accurate, by a ladybug. I was going, what? I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, it's hard to learn from other people, but it's even harder to not, just come up like with this recipe, say. Mm-hmm. I had nothing to go from to try to make this thing. And So I'm trying to be creative and think of what can I do to make what I visualize in my head work. And as you can see, it did not. And I feel badly about it, but you have to, as an adult, you have to be able to keep making mistakes like that. And you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you start all over again. And you have to be able to do that. You can't get down about, oh, I'm no good, whatever, and a lot of people won't even get to that point because they don't want to have to actually have that moment where they're like faced with feeling badly about themselves. They want to keep that high opinion of themselves, so they never want to learn because they never want to make mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to keep making mistakes. That's the only way you're going to keep learning.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's it.
Don't make mistakes that are life-threatening, or life-changing. In other words, where you lose an arm or limb, or just that are life-ending. Don't make those kind of mistakes. And one of the ways to do that is to look at learn from experience, other people's experience.
That's true.
So, they found out around the time of Sigmund Freud that cocaine was addictive. And then all of a sudden in the 60s, all the hippies are going, guess what? It ain't addictive. Hey, you don't do stupid stuff like that. And there were casualties because when a person's on cocaine, they got to come down, and it seems like the invariable solution is heroin. Great. How many people have died from heroin and stuff like that? Absolutely stupid. Learn from mistakes, other people's mistakes. Learn from your own mistakes. But if it doesn't involve something that's life-threatening, life-changing, or just life-ending, try things. Try things. For Pete's sake, try things. And I want you folks to actually learn from experience or whatever. So I was kind of liking this. Okay, I've never really been totally blown away by his lyrics. I'm afraid he came through, maybe it was design school or something like that. Someone pointed out, I think it was even in the 80s, look at all the stuff that in his stuff, like burning down the house, going back home or whatever. How much stuff actually has to do with house? And then they were saying it must have to do with his training in design or whatever, like building design or.
Oh, was he an architect?
Not so much an architect. It might be, I don't know, interior decoration. I'm not sure what it is. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been motivated to find out. But like I say, he never was a big thrill for me or anything like that. Never a real bummer. But then,
Sticks to teeth.
What was that?
The chia. It sticks to teeth. It's frustrating.
Yeah, of course. And towards the end, he's saying, here's a song that was written, I think, or performed at a feminist march on Washington or whatever. I asked the composer if I could use it here. He said he did that with trepidation, and the composer said, of course. And then he gets out there, he's prancing around. And I'm looking, there's representation from kind of like around the world, 2 Brazilians.